Is there any other country in the world where you are worried that they're going to steal your IP, that they're going to that somebody is going to steal even your drawings, your your raw product idea that you've sent over to have them make molds or whatever? Is there any place else that you're worried about that, or is China the only one?
No, there are a couple of others, but as it relates to securing your IP, you have to be in a defensive stance no matter where you are, because people will do nefarious things, wherever. But yeah, it is more pervasive in some countries versus others. But I want to get back to this baseline of, I understand your question and appreciate it. So 10% reciprocal, 125 China, but still 25% autos. Okay. 25% auto parts, ex USMCA, 25% steel, aluminum. And I mean, these are hefty tariffs. So if you're building a product where you have to import steel, and then you've got some China suppliers involved that you're importing for assembly, I mean, you're going to be taking some major cost hits on. So I guess people shouldn't leave today with like, we're in the clear. Yes, you've got a massive market rally. And the markets were way oversold. Fear greed index was, -3 or something, some weird level we've never seen before. But, we're sitting here today, and if you're Tesla, I always kind of hoisted their auto business up on a pedestal, and it's still there, and it's even stronger now today than it was yesterday. But what weakened yesterday today is their mega pack business for sure, with these 125%. I think it's even higher when you lump in some of the other tariffs that were already on battery imports. I mean, I think somebody should compute the final number. It's some massive number where it's to the point where, like, am I even doing trade at these levels? But I had a quick interview this morning with Dan Ives. And I talked a little bit about it after, because he was only on for a small portion of it. I think Tesla's position relative to tariffs has grown extremely strong. Yes, they're slightly scathed in some areas, but it is increasingly getting stronger, and especially with the announcements today. Their supply chain localization is a multi-year advantage. But the other thing, I kind of put two and two together in my head, is just the robotaxi advantage of they're deployed. They're already in each economic zone. There's millions of hardware-enabled robotaxis already in the European Union, already in China, already in the US. And what's not getting tariffed in all this on the services side, everybody talks about tariffs, and it's mostly been a goods discussion. President Trump has been mostly goods focused, but we are a major surplus nation when it comes to software and services on that and shipping that. And countries in the past, and the EU is trying to hit us on that. China we have import bans on a lot of our software and services. So that is a problem that we have to address with them. So I'm definitely like, I'm in the hawkish in terms of like, we have more work to do on trade. And the president was 100% correct to go after this problem. My issue is, and everybody can kind of like, nitpick from the side, and I hate it too, because when I'm in the middle of a deal and someone doesn't know what I'm thinking in terms of end state, and someone doesn't know where I started from, and they're going to come in and try to nitpick from the side, that's the worst thing in the world you can do. So I have to give them that. But where I get concerned is, and I'm glad that Ron Vera was not involved in the writing of the note this morning. Peter Navarro's is his pseudonym. He was nowhere to be found. Peter Navarro is nowhere to be found, and I'm glad. And here's why I'm glad. I think we've moved a little bit further away from this is how this should work in economic theory, to this is more of the Musk, it is a little bit more of the signature of like, okay, we can still be punitive, but we can still make results and not plow our businesses to a grinding halt. And so I'm glad we moved off of that a bit, but this is still, I would call it, if you just step back and look at it, where we were 8 days ago versus today, like there's a lot of work to do. My point is like the 10% tariffs alone would be bringing everybody to the table and wanting to figure out, like, how do we work through this? How do we bring these barriers down? How do we bring these non-tariff barriers down? I didn't think we had to go and do what we did. You can say, well, he already knew it and he was only going to put them on for a couple of hours and take them off. But man, I'm telling you, from a supply chain perspective, from the people I've been speaking to all weekend, and you can say it's short term. What I would say is the following: we have experienced short term damage. There's a damage happening today. There are going to be follow-on effects that are continuing to happen even with the current tariff levels. We have turned some businesses upside down that we don't know about. There are some sub-suppliers that we don't know about. They don't know if they can continue to ship. So this is how you get supply shocks, is when you have this uncertainty and you have these exogenous shocks where your cost structure meaningfully changed overnight. And for example, if it's COVID and you can't get access to labor, all of a sudden your labor rate changes dramatically overnight. So, or you just don't have the labor and you can't produce product, but you have the fixed overhead costs that are still there. So let's bring this back full circle. I think where we are today relative to where we were yesterday, much better place. Overnight, I'm not a bond market expert, but I don't think the President Trump and Secretary Bessent team wanted a 4.5% 10-year and a market that's down 20%, an equity market that's down. I don't think they wanted that pairing together. That's not what success looked like. And am I saying like the bond market pushed this decision? We don't know.
I guess the president was quoted maybe as saying that he was watching the bond market.
He said he was watching.
There was speculation that maybe China was selling bonds and buying gold since the gold.
We don't know, but yeah.
This gold went.
Could have been Japan. It could have been, we don't know. Something unwound. It was that weird.
Yeah.
I'm sure you were watching it, Randy, because you're all over this stuff. And there was this weird spike that was happening. I was in a message exchange with a group as well, and we were going through it. And it was a little concerning to see what was happening, because you have your equity market drawing down and you have a bond market that's essentially returned back to where it was.
Bradford Ferguson said it was him. He said he was selling buying equities.
The epicenter was in Indiana, and it could have been right. It could have been him. He's making moves, and I more power to him. It's good.
If you happen to be a big fan of the Cybertruck, you might also be interested in this super fun Cybertruck refrigerator magnet and bottle opener. It is made out of super thick stainless steel, just like the Cybertruck, and it has this giant magnet on the back, so it's going to hold a lot of stuff on your refrigerator. It's an amazing gift, and it comes in that great gift box that you saw before that uses a magnet opener, just almost like an Apple box, like when you get Apple products. You can buy it on Amazon for $29.95, or you can buy it direct from me by sending $25 to paypal.me/Randy Kirk, all in lowercase letters. Please indicate whether you want the stainless steel look, or maybe you'd like to have this very clever camo version. And then if you're not in the US, please add $20 for freight. If you'd like more than one, please check the information below to get pricing, as well as all that information I just told you will be repeated in the information below. So once again, think about joining the channel, getting the up-to-date Tesla news every single day. I think you'll be glad you did.